Okay, so finally the Simpsons game has been released on home consoles, and I am can't be more happy than I am to finally be able to be playing it because this is a very old game. I think it was released in 1992, and it's a beat 'em up. It's probably one of the better Simpsons game out there, and could be considered to be the best one. But that might just be because it's kind of hard to find now. That's no longer an obscurity. People can make a better judgment about it. But yeah, we got the Simpsons arcade game here, so I'm going to be playing through it here. I'm playing as Marge just because I haven't played as her yet, so we'll see. This will be my last time playing through it with every character. And as you can see, it's a beat 'em up game. It's made by Konami. They're pretty popular for their beat 'em ups. The last game that they released that you might think this looks like is the X-Men game because it's by the same people. It's largely the same type of game here. It's just Simpsons characters kind of instead of X-Men. It plays pretty much the same. But there's some differences here, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But you can play as one of the four characters from the Simpsons family: Homer, Marge, Bart, or Lisa. And the story is Maggie gets kidnapped by Mr. Burns, well, Smithers more accurately, and you got to try to go and save her. And you fight a whole bunch of different crazy characters. But it's one thing to take into consideration: this game was made in, I think, 1992, so it's before a lot of any of the current things. So as you can see, the graphics represent the time, but they also represent how The Simpsons looked back then. And you're not going to run into a lot of characters that you see nowadays. So, what's a newer character? Even like someone like Hank Scorpio, or I don't know, any newer characters that you would come across in The Simpsons. There's no Spider Pig, none of that stuff. That's all later. So it's all really just The Simpsons, and Moe is here, and Barney and whatnot, and they all look different because it's a little bit older. But I want to talk about the game a little bit. So you got your basic control setup for a fight or side-scrolling beat 'em ups. You got a jump button and an attack button, and that's it. And you can hit them both together to do a special attack that does actually a lot of damage. So it's kind of you're beneficial. You might as well just play by hitting those attack buttons because they do more damage anyways. It's 4-player co-op, so I actually am in an online game I created, so hopefully someone will join in. I just played before and finished with 4 people, so hopefully we get some friends to join. What sets the game apart also is that you can perform special attacks with other players. So like Homer and Marge can actually kind of hold hands and they form a giant sort of ball. They like roll around and they can hit enemies, and you do a lot of damage that way. It's actually a really effective way to beat bosses. And that's pretty much the basics of the game. There's no special attacks like in X-Men. There's no mutant powers or anything. It's just kind of you're really playing for the effect of seeing the Simpsons characters and how they kind of act all zany. So you can see Marge fights with a vacuum cleaner. Homer just swings his fists. Lisa, what does she have? Does she ever sacks? I don't really remember. No, she has a jump rope. And Bart is on a skateboard and he fights with I think his skateboard. He uses it kind of as a weapon. And you run into a lot of characters from The Simpsons. Like these dudes I'm beating up, I really have no idea who they are. They're just kind of like people. But later on you'll see Moe, and throughout the game other characters will kind of help you out. If you noticed earlier, Milhouse just walked past me. He actually had a sledgehammer in his hand for me to use, but I neglected to go grab it. And lots of other cameos from other characters. Watch, I'll keep hitting this tree, and you'll see that guy coming out. That's one of Matt Groening's classic characters that he animated. I couldn't tell you the name of it because I'm not really sure. And you visit a lot of Simpsons locales. So the first level was just on the street. This one is Krusty Land, I think, or something like that. Later on will be Mr. Burns' castle, or mansion, I should say. He's the last level. And we'll go to Dreamland, which is probably the funniest level. And lots of Simpsons references there and throughout the game. So if you are a fan of The Simpsons, especially a fan during the time, like I was when I was growing up, you'll notice a lot of things that are really kind of funny. Like I'll have Marge stand still, and each character will kind of do those things, those animations when they're sitting idle. Bart will say like, "Who the hell are you?" Homer just kind of like stares off into space, and he goes like, and it's kind of funny. The gameplay itself is fine. It's a little rough. Oh, there's Snowball 2 and Sherry or Terry. But gameplay, it's a little rough with hit detection. You sometimes think you're hitting them, but you're really not. You really need to line up your shadows. And that's pretty much how any game like this is. It's all about, did I find the right shadows to line up and get hit or not get hit? And that's how the game kind of goes. It is sort of relentlessly difficult. I mean, just like the X-Men game, this was made in the 90s to eat your quarters. So you're going to run across a lot of enemies that are really hard to kill, or they are just jumping around and they hit you and do a lot of damage and stuff. So you just kind of got to play smart, and then you'll beat it eventually. I'm beating this crusty balloon here. Some funny things that you'll notice later on, certain plot points have not happened yet, so actually I don't know why Smithers has this cape and throws bombs at you, but at the time in the Simpsons continuity, the little bit there is, when this game was released, Sideshow Bob wasn't a bad guy. Oh look, someone's joining me as Homer, or whomever he wants to be, and Bart. But Sideshow Bob wasn't a bad guy, so later on he's here and he gives you like a power-up, and anyone that's watched The Simpsons after probably this game is kind of like, why is this bad guy helping you? But it's just because the game was made before that really happened. Or correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what I'm pretty sure. So the online mode is drop in, drop out multiplayer, just like a regular arcade would be. So we see actually Homer just dropped in, and then Bart was here and he just dropped out. So it's pretty easy. Joining a match is fine. I've had no problem finding people, and there he goes. I had no problem finding people online to play with. Just like the X-Men game before it, this one comes with multiple difficulties. So, easy, which is what I'm actually on now, just to kind of get through the game nice and easy. Normal, and then expert. The difficulties just add characters, or enemies to fight and stuff. Oh yeah, we're in the discount cemetery, so we're fighting zombies. And here you go, I picked up a slingshot, so you can use that. But not much difference between the difficulties besides the amount of enemies you have to kill or how many hits they take. So it's pretty easy. One thing that they changed about this game and the X-Men game before it, and it is so much better in this game, is that they get over here. They added different play modes as opposed to just playing the game standard through. And by that I mean they added what is called quarters mode. So right now I'm just playing standard free play, where you drop in, drop out, you have as many continues as you want. But they added 3 types of extra modes that you can compete with. The first one is survival mode, which is just for the sadistic people that want to play through the game on 1 life. That's pretty tough, but it's there, so it's better, because a problem with the X-Men game was that in too many instances, when you play online, people would just willy-nilly run around, use their mutant powers, and get killed just because they could come back with their mutant powers again, no penalty. But now in these modes, you can take that away. And then there's individual quarters mode, which gives each player that's playing 10 credits to use, and then once those credits are out, they're out of the game. And then there is also team quarters mode, where all 4 players that are playing have a collective pool of quarters, 40 actually, and then once those are gone, the game is over. So that's kind of good if one player's really good and they only use 5 of their lives. Someone else can benefit from having those extra lives. So it's fun. Thank God that's there, because it really changes the game for the better, because it really still makes it feel like an arcade experience as opposed to just haphazardly tapping buttons and playing a game without really caring about what you're doing. So that's good. Ow. I wish that they would fix that in the X-Men game. Like a patch would make that game so much better. And there's achievements for it too, and there'll be trophies when the PS3 version comes out, and they're pretty cool. You got your standard ones that you kind of get a few for playing the game and beating it and whatnot. But then there's harder ones that require you to beat the game on expert, like with quarters mode in, so you have to do it really hard. Then there's a survival mode one where you try to beat the game or get level 3, with only your 1 life. So it gives you a lot of challenge, which is good, because this game isn't as exciting as the X-Men game was. It's also not as memorable in terms of spoken dialogue and stuff. But they did get the original voice actors to do Homer, Bart, Marge, and Lisa, who are still, to my knowledge, the voice actors of Homer, Marge, Bart, and Lisa now. So that's pretty cool. But they definitely did not get I think it's Hank Azaria who does Hank Azaria and God, Harry Shearer who do Mr. Burns and Smithers. I don't believe they came to this game, because you'll see later on they're distinctly not their right character voices.